Why not? I'm okay. I'm not
So I
allowed to be
was
offended.
going through my notes of last week
Yeah.
and just going through and trying to figure out what do we want to talk about. And I started going through all my appointments and talking to myself, and to review process I do for myself, but thinking about our podcast. And without getting through Monday, we talked about scripts and dialogues, what you say matters, practicing the NAR, the NAR objection handlers, videos,
Right.
starting and staying consistent, putting the work into planning, then giving yourself the space in the schedule to execute, then executing, staying healthy while doing business, right? I mean, everybody's going so fast, and there's been a lot of health and cancer talk in my schedule lately. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that was a topic on Monday. Accountability, like high level, doing what you say to yourself. Do what you're saying you're going to do for others as well as yourself,
Hmm.
about
Hmm.
appointments and conversations and working through the numbers. Have a client that's really building this team and putting the numbers to the test. And we have some numbers that we've built out. And that was Monday by 1:30 were my conversations, Aaron. And I just wanted to talk about and welcome everybody to the Real Impact Show.
Yeah.
I'm your co-host, Don Jacks. This is Aaron Zapata. And
Hello. Hello.
hello, we just decided to get into it today, but we're really going through, what do the agents need? What do we need to deliver to add value? And I just wanted to run that list by you and say, what say you? I could go into Monday afternoon through Thursday last week and probably come up with 30 more topics. What do you hear as a producing agent, right? I sell house, I help run the team, but I'm coaching more than selling. You're selling more than coaching and doing a little coaching and consulting on the side. What do you hear when you what do you get when you hear that, and what resonates to you now with the problem, the challenges, the
Hmm.
everything that's going on? Um, where should we start? What are your thoughts?
Well, you know, the reason I wanted you to record right away when we were discussing this is because we have to, this is what I've been thinking about too, is the long range view, like
Yes.
the long view.
Yes.
And right
Long view, not
now,
next week, but one
but
year,
next
five
year,
year,
and
10 years.
yeah,
Yes.
right. Like, where do you see yourself in 10 years, right? What's the long view? Because the decisions we're making on the short views are very temperamental, they're very emotional, they're very, physical. Like when I don't feel like doing it right now. So it's an emotional, but it's a physical feeling, right? So we have this nature right now in the market to tend to quit. And I think what you are talking about has just been resonating with me too. It's like agents right now, if they are not successful in this year already, they're on the verge of quitting.
Yes.
And so I was I was inspired this week. I spent 3 hours listening to a Joe Rogan podcast, and he was interviewing Tucker Carlson,
Oh, it was a great interview. I've watched it. Yeah, it's
right? And so it took me about an hour and a half to figure out that I could like speed up the speed. So I was watching it in live.
two X on YouTube is a game changer, Aaron.
Yeah,
Game
I was
changer.
so I wasn't watching it on YouTube. I was watching
Oh,
it. I
oh,
was
got it.
listening to it on Spotify.
You can do it on
And
Spotify too.
well,
Yes.
okay, thank you. But I'm you can't teach old dog new tricks. I'm learning that Spotify also has that feature, but it took me a while. So, but what I took away was really not the content of the interview per se, but he mentions this time period in his podcasting career where him and his friend Brian just decided to set up shop in his living room and hit record,
Yes,
and they didn't overthink it and they didn't like do it for money. They just did it to do it.
that's right.
And what I've learned in this business is you have to detach the outcome from your motivation in some way. Like he said, look, we just did it for fun. Like we had no idea if people would listen. This was before podcasts were paying us money. Like this is before sponsors, and he just did it for fun. because he wasn't attached to the outcome emotionally. And right now, if we're attached to the outcome emotionally, like we're in a bad spot when it comes to our careers.
Keep saying more about that. What do you mean? How?
Well, okay. So, example, this is a roller coaster career. It really is, right? Uh, I have a client right now. We have been in escrow twice. It's fallen out twice, and we had to back out of the replacement property, and that's emotional for them, but it's also emotional for me as the agent because I can let all of a sudden my thinking and my emotions start to make me play small. Like, oh no, maybe this is not a good thing. Maybe they are making a mistake. Maybe I'm not doing a good job. Maybe my marketing stinks or whatever it is, right? Maybe the market's shifting and everything's going to fall, right? And so we have to have this long range view that says, no, this is a cycle. Things happen. It's not all bad all the time. And so I have to detach my emotions from this desire. I mean, I really want them to sell. But if we fell out twice and we had to pull out of the replacement escrow, that could leave me on the side of the road emotionally bankrupt
Mm.
if I gave into the emotions. So I'm not
So,
giving into the emotions.
so what you're saying is don't be attached to the outcome. Do the work, serve the clients, and what happens happens, which leads
Yes.
the coach to say
Yes.
do more of it. So when one or two fall out, you have three or four more behind it. You can
Yep.
handle it with emotional resiliency and professionalism and legendary status
Right.
if you're not emotional along with the clients in the transaction, right?
Yeah, because I could hop on that roller coaster bandwagon and
Hell yeah.
be there all day long. But
Yes.
I have to remind them of the long range view. I have to remind myself of the long view so that we stay in it.
Yeah.
And that's like a transactional issue, but just you and I creating content, right? We are trying to model what we're asking our audience to do, which is to stay consistent, to learn and improve, even if nobody's listening.
Even if nobody's listening, you made me think about, and I don't know if everybody can see this, but I'm sure you
There we
can.
go.
These are our, this was taught to me by a coach. These are emotions, right? Up,
Yeah.
down, up, down, up, down. I got a new lead. It's $1 million
Yeah.
lead. It's gonna amazing. They have 4 agents. They've written 12 offers already. I don't know what I'm gonna
Yeah.
do. Oh, it's excited. They want to talk to me. They want to see the house. Oh no, it's not available anymore. And this is like by 8:30 in the morning, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have these highs and these lows, and then adding horrible situations in an escrow along with it. Your emotions can drive you to drink, and worse if you're not careful and tight about keeping that going. And Aaron, I'm glad you brought that up. I had a similar conversation this week with an old friend. And Marnie, big shout out to you and thank you for the coaching session. Apparently, I was coming back from the desert. I was driving through the desert, me and Marnie in the phone. And it was a great conversation. Apparently, Aaron, this guy wasn't as optimistic sounding as many times I am. And old friend letting her know where things are, how things are, and talking about some things. And she reminded me something about. We talk about a lot. We talk about coaching clients all the time and our agents. Gratitude allows us to focus, refocus, and recenter our emotions about what is really important and going
Yeah.
on in our lives. And
Yes.
instantly she said that, and we went through lists of gratitude and goodness in both of our lives and business. Everything shifted in a moment across the desert from spewing just that's not Marnie and I, right? That's not our relationship.
Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
called me on it and it was awesome. And immediately new thoughts, better thoughts, ideas. We start jamming and brainstorming about why we're on the phone. And it was a spectacular reminder of what we know, what we teach all the time in real action, Aaron. And I know
Hmm.
you know that, and here's your reminder that it helps us all recenter where things aren't
Yeah.
rainbows and
Yeah.
unicorns, right? Going the way we think they.
Absolutely. Have an attitude of
I've
gratitude.
heard that somewhere before. Yes, yes, that's a really good point.
Well, I'm
Uh,
listening. I just finished a book and it talks a lot about gratitude as a method to overcome really stinking thinking. And it's the book that I recommended to our team, Winning the War in Your Mind.
Yes.
And it is very, it talks about the science and also the spiritual aspect of how we think and what we think about. And he points out in that book, a couple of chapters, talks about how our brain literally creates trenches of thought. And he gives this example of a car driving down a muddy road. And in this example, there's multiple, tire lines in this muddy road that have hardened over the years. And he said you have to pick your trench wisely, because if you pick the wrong one, you're going to end up off the road. So you have to know, like from the beginning going in, what trench are you going to be in. And he talks about how the things that we think about often cause us to deepen that trench in our mind. So if we're a critical person and we are critiquing always, we develop a critical trench. And once you have the trench, it's easier for information to flow through that because it just becomes natural. It's literally ingrained in your mind. And so if we have negative self-talk, if we have, self-defeating, if we are critical, if we get angry, if we um, always have problems, we're literally digging trenches in our mind that allow us to look for and identify and reinforce that predisposition of thought. So he's talking about, hey, we got to fix these trenches. And one of the biggest ways to do that is to have gratitude. And he adds praise because it's a Christian book, but it's a different way of thinking about it, because we have to retrench in these areas of gratitude and thankfulness. And then all of a sudden, when you get a good thing happen to you, if you're predisposed to acknowledging good things, you're going to be like, wow, that's a great thing that happened to me. I'll give you an example. So I rented a car from Hertz for my trip that I'm on right now, and I was at dinner the other night with my son. Actually, we were at lunch, and I saw an email come through from American Express, and Hertz had rebated me 10 cents. 10 cents. Hey, congratulations, you got 10 cents back. It's like picking up a dime, right? And at first my thought was, really? Like 10 cents? But then I corrected that thought, because instead of being critical, I wanted to be grateful.
That's right.
And I said, you know what? I'm glad that I work with a company that I rented from, a company that feels that integrity matters even for 10 cents.
Even for 10 cents. That's beautiful.
They found the error. They refunded me 10 cents. I should be grateful for that. And I'm grateful for that.
I
Very
love it.
grateful.
That's so
So,
good. That's so good. Yes, gratitude seems to in many, most, maybe all cases, right? Really getting deep in gratitude, solve a lot of deep stinking thinking, solve a lot of void in ourselves. And man, we've talked about this too, the actionability of one of those pieces of gratitude, and being able to say, hey, Marty, I'm glad we're on this phone call. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful
mhm,
for our friendship
mhm,
and this conversation, or engaging with one of those pieces of gratitude we have, right? Honey, you're
mhm.
not going to believe this. Don, oh my, this is so silly. And this was the lesson. I think
Yeah.
he shares that, and binds us together with others when we can engage with that. Now, with all of that, Aaron, we can talk about gratitude forever. With the review of all of these things, there is something that stuck out to me that I wanted to
Yeah.
talk
Tell me.
about. And it's not going to shock you. And it's not a very popular topic for many agents, because nobody wants to pay attention to the numbers, right? There's these people we know, and then there's everybody else in the world, the people we don't know. And yes, we're in a real estate business where we should work with people that we know, like, love, and trust, and that know, like, love, and trust us. And there's
Hmm.
this big pile of world of people that we don't know. And many of our agents, and many agents across the land, work with online leads of one way, shape, or form. And one of
Yeah.
my coaching clients has built this team. And over the last number of months, we've converted some things they've been doing. And since January, We've been tracking and measuring everything. And I wanted to share that with you and the crew listening here. And I'll go quick because I know talking about people's eyes or numbers, people's eyes roll in the back of their heads sometimes. But check this out. Since
No.
January, they've dialed these leads 15,650 times. 15,650 dials this year in 4 months. They track conversations over 2 minutes. So
Wow.
if it's sub 2 minutes, we're not counting it as a conversation. They've had 927 conversations out of 15,000 plus dials, which is, some people might get discouraged from that. They might. However, they've
Hmm.
gone on and set 238 appointments from those 927 conversations, which means what? Every 4 to 5 conversations, they're now setting an appointment and going on that appointment.
Hmm.
They've sold 30 homes in the last 4 months through these numbers. That's 31 conversations to a closing, Aaron. If you could talk to 31 people and close a deal, would you talk to them?
Mm-hmm.
You sure?
31 to one deal? Absolutely.
31 to one day. I mean, come on, that's amazing. You want to sell 5 houses a week?
Right.
150 contacts a week, right? Talk to 150 people. It's math and it's so predictable now, and it's been consistent for all 4 months. It's brilliant. And I share all of that, whether you're calling online leads or your sphere and database or otherwise. Are you tracking and measuring what you're doing? What you track and measure and analyze and tweak gets better with time. But if we're not tracking the numbers, if we're not paying attention to the marketing and the calls and conversation that it's generating, or our
Mm.
outbound, how many conversations and appointments and deals following that trajectory that we're actually doing, I think we're missing a mark. There's so much noise with NAR and the interest rates and politics and war and elections and everything else going on. I just wanted to bring this up because at the end of the day,
Mm.
we are in a contact sport here in real estate. And the more conversations and contacts we make, the better our business seems to do. And I think that's a true testament to doing the work and better, or along with that, tracking and measuring and really analyzing. Guys, we've gone from 13 appointments to a deal to 5 appointments to a deal in 4 months with this crew also. And I think that's super important to know what we put our focus and time and tracking into
Mm.
really gets better and improves with time. And again, I know online leads are not for everybody. That part doesn't matter. Are you tracking your progress and measuring your results to make sure you're going the right direction and getting the results you want? This is
Yeah.
testament that this is working. They're tracking for, I think we're tracking right now for about 120, 150 deals, which is much better than they did last year with his team. So I'm
Yeah.
excited about that progress, and I would love to hear your insights around that.
Well, as I'm thinking about this, it takes it takes time to measure and to track.
Mm,
And what I've had to learn over the years is that that is also important time to put on our calendar.
mm,
Like when you have 2 hours to prospect, you should prospect, yes, but you should also set aside the last 15 minutes or the last 20 minutes to really update and document and set the next plan of attack.
mm.
Because I'm more of a one and done. Like if I don't hear from you one time, I'm going to forget to call you back. If you didn't sign up for me the first time we're on the phone with me, the first time we're on the phone, then I'm moving on. And personally, even though I do a fair amount of business, I think that I know that extra time in following up and then putting on a calendar to do that follow up would make me a whole lot more money. And
Oh,
so I'm learning that process too.
sure.
It's that
Yeah.
tracking and measuring is a valuable skill and
Mm.
a requirement. you just can't expect to have business fall in your lap.
You can't anymore, especially now, right? With the advent of contracts for all, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody, we can't fall asleep on our follow-up, because if we do, somebody else won't, and we'll lose that
Right.
client. They're
Right.
walking into our open house, if they're
Mm-hmm.
coming to our portal, if they're a Zillow or a realtor or a homes lead, they're a lead for somebody else also. And we
Yeah.
really need to be on our follow-up game. And that's what I love about the tracking and measuring. We can see the progress of, instead of sometimes us agents just feel like we're going through the motions and we're on an island
Mm-hmm.
all by ourselves and
Mm-hmm.
doing this thing, we're not seeing the results. Man, when you can track and measure and analyze, not in a bubble. We said it last week. Greatness doesn't come in isolation. When we can get around to others and review them and go back and forth with what the numbers mean and how to improve them, things change when you execute with that kind of certainty and support. It's
Mm-hmm.
pretty
Mm-hmm.
amazing. So find an accountability partner. I would be happy to apply for the job of being your accountability partner. Just hit me up. Let me know what you're up to. I make a great accountability partner, by the way.
Yes, you
Uh,
do.
I
Yes, you do.
absolutely. Um, and let's get after it, right? Let's get after it. And that's what I
Yeah.
hope these
Yeah.
numbers show. And I love, this is the first time we've ever designed a lead or defined a lead, somebody we have a conversation with, or a conversation over 2 minutes. And that
Mm.
really, right? I mean, we have some, hey,
Yeah.
connected a while ago, you'd show, no, I'm not looking, click conversation, not this team, two
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
And that really shows what they're putting into their craft, and they are practicing and building these skills and coaching through it. And anyway, you got to start. And you said it about the podcast. We've just got to start. These numbers, don't make a
Mm-hmm.
big thing out of it. You don't need a
Mm-hmm.
big CRM, scratch paper, your yellow note on your iPhone. And if you have the other phone, I'm sorry for you. I don't know. You'll figure it out. You'll track somehow. Um, Text me
Yeah.
562-201-4670. Text me your one contact, two contact, three contact, track it, make it simple, and let me know how the results come for you.
Well, and to even make it simpler, if you have a yellow pad
Yellow
and
pad
you have
works.
to, just have one for your leads and notes.
That's right.
Back in the day, we used to have Rolodex. You took little notes on the little Rolodex cards and 3x5 cards, and you just kept them. And we overthink it. There you go.
Yeah.
We overthink it, and so that's why I was so impressed with just some of these people that are very successful today. They are instant 20-year overnight success people. Their instant success today took 20 years to get to. Dave Ramsey says that all the time. Joe Rogan says the same thing. Any of these realtors that say the same thing, that are honest about it, it took years.
Yeah.
Uh, Don, you and I both know Steve Olson, right?
Absolutely.
He sent out an email today, and I just want to give him props for this because it was really succinctly put. He said that basically people come to your website for only people spend time online for only two reasons, either education or entertainment. And we're not in the education, we're not in the entertainment business as realtors, we're in the education business. So in tying with this whole thought of the long view, he talks about building content on your website. And I'm not going to go into all the details that he gives because he's actually doing a webinar on it, which I'm going to be going to. But one of the things I drew from that is that even content in writing, this idea that it takes repetition, tracking, and measuring is good for all things.
That's right.
It's good for all things. Tracking your sales calls. If you write, do you write consistently? Do you write well? Do people share your content? Do you have likes and shares? Not from the dopamine, like I love this, I feel so great, but from the statistical, like, is this good for my business standpoint? Are people liking and sharing your content? Are you getting engagement? And he talks about your website should be very narrowly focused. One of the things that realtors fall into, and I've been prone to this too, is I don't want to talk just about my own city, because what if somebody else in the other city comes to my website? I'm going to lose their business. right? So instead of going all in on one topic, we hold back and we talk about our city, we talk about the next city, we talk about the city after that, and we become like jack of all trades and master of none. And
Yes.
so we don't end up getting at what we could out of the one market because we've diluted our approach to all of our marketing to try to appeal to all people.
That
And guess
makes
what?
sense.
You don't appeal to all people. And so those buyers calls on the internet, those are looking for buyers. And I'm sure you find sellers in there too. But those are buyers, mostly the internet leads. Statistics show that's where they come in. Um, but if you're going after sellers, what is that niche market? What I took away from the just the email I got was I need to really narrow focus, and I put this in my to-do list on my own website that says I'm going to start posting articles and things about probate because I've been doing a lot of probate, gratefully, thankfully lately. Distress sales
Mhm.
because I have investors who are looking for properties, and people that are in distress have a unique need, and then also move out of state because 70% of my clients move out of state. And so those three things are my specialties right now.
That makes
So I'm
sense.
going to stop. So I'm going to stop talking about the cities and the events and the different things that are going on and just focus on those because those are applicable for my entire area. But again, it's niche focused, and I'm going to go all in, deep dive, wait
With
for the
those
leads
three, that makes a lot of
with those
sense.
three,
Yes.
with
Yeah.
those three, as opposed to being, oh, well, I can add divorce, I could add estate sales, I could, give you how to prepare your home for sale. Right. Those are all of the general topics that every realtor talks about.
That's right. That's right. That's
But
great.
that's not my like, special sauce, right? Mine is knowing how to work through the probate issues. So,
That's
oh,
good. That's good.
we have an issue that came up, Don. And I think anybody in California who is working with buyers right now, agents, you need to know this. This California Dream for All program, they did one last year
Mhm.
and they just did it again. It's a lottery. What's going to happen is that buyers are going to buy with the assistance of state money, which means that the state is in partnership with your client when they sell that house too.
Yes.
We had a situation that just came up yesterday, and we're selling a probate. And unbeknownst to us, when this person bought the house in 2011, they used the development agency down payment assistance to help with their down payment.
Okay.
And he signed an agreement that said that if he sells within the next 45 years, 45 years, that he was going to pay the development agency back a portion of his equity. So it's a shared equity. And he must have probably got 20%, which in this case was $15,000 in 2011 is what he took. So he passed away. Nobody knew that he had this agreement. It showed up the last day before supposed to close escrow. The development agency comes knocking and says, "Hey, I hear you have a house for sale. We have this agreement that he signed with us back in 2011." And we're like, "What agreement?" So they sent it to us, and he basically said if he sells in the first 7 years, he owes 45% of the gross equity growth. If he sells between years 8 and 14, it's 35%. Anything after 14 years is 25%. Anything after 45 years is considered a wash, and we're good. So they sent us a demand. We sent them all the paperwork, and they sent us a demand for $82,000. So the estate, the inheritance, the equity got diminished by 35% according to the agreement. Uh, Look
Wow.
at your face,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
Right? Right?
I'm what were those loans that they were putting against the taxes? The hero loans.
Hero
I'm
loans.
thinking of
Yeah,
the hero loans as I hear this.
right. And so agents, I'm going back to this whole, like, how do we handle this? Go back to your roller coaster, diagram. This is a crazy day yesterday,
No.
right? We get this news, and so what do? We're professionals. We call up the owner, who's the administrator, who's one of the heirs, and say, "Hey, guess what? Your uncle signed an agreement with the development agency when he bought the house, and they have just sent us a demand for $82,000. So the equity that everybody's going to get and walk away with is $82,000 less. Disappointed, of course. Nothing he can do about it. Called the probate attorney. He's like, okay, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's
And
it.
so now we're moving forward to getting it closed. It is what it is, right? But there's nothing I could have done differently. There's nothing that he knew. And that's why we're like to call the development. The guy died. Like, how are we supposed to know? Right. So
You wouldn't
sometimes,
have if they didn't knock at the last minute. Would never have known.
yeah. So, um, and and apparently title had the document beforehand and didn't bother to bring it to my attention. So that's a whole other side story. But the reality is, man, if we don't have the long view, we might as well just cry in our soup all day long.
You don't have the long view, if you don't have your emotions in check, if you're not going through the process of grounding yourselves
Yeah,
in gratitude,
yeah,
so you don't fly off
yeah.
the handle emotionally
Right, right.
as soon as crap hits the fan, and it's going to hit the fan, right?
Right.
It's going
And
to.
yeah, yeah. And I think we have to be busy about getting new business. Okay,
Mm,
not to change the topic, but your whole prospecting thing, tracking the numbers, that is all about getting new business.
that's right.
And there's always that agent that's preparing to prepare to get ready in order to be successful, right? And they're writing, they're doing stuff, and they're never picking up the phone. They're
Mm,
never calling people back. They're never being proactive in the one-on-one communication. They're not sending out text messages. They're not doing the DMs on social media.
mm,
They're just commenting on people's posts, thinking that's enough. Oh, I commented. That person saw that I commented on a post. They're gonna like me. They're gonna call me when they sell real estate. No, it's like way more than that.
yeah,
It's a multi proactive approach. It's the calling, texting, emailing, the DM. The last thing that Steve said on his post that I got in my inbox this morning, which is really powerful. He said it's not the agent that knows the most; it's the agent that is known the most
mm,
that gets the business.
that's it.
You don't have to know the most.
Yeah,
If you're newer in this business, you're thinking, I don't know what that guy knows. He knows way more than I do. That girl, man, she's the dominator in the farm. I don't know what she knows. I can't do it. And we play small as opposed to just getting your name out there and making yourself famous in a way
that's
that
right.
says, oh, everybody knows Aaron. Everybody knows Don. Everybody knows Sally. Everybody knows that person. That's the one, of course, we're going to call.
That's right. That's
So
right.
it's more about being known than what you know.
That's it.
And
That's
so we play small because we don't think we know enough.
that's right.
We just have to get out there
That's right.
and we have to track our numbers, right? And so there's
Got to
so many
track your
things to
numbers.
do.
How else do you know? How else do you know if you're not paying attention, if you've done anything worthwhile ever, you tracked and measured your progress along the way? From sports, I hear we keep scoring sports, to losing weight. I hear that scale really helps when we're paying attention the right way. It causes us to make different decisions, as does tracking and measuring our prospecting and our marketing towards our goals. So we hope you, as we finish this up, are prospecting number one in the midst of everything else going on in your world, right? Number two, you understand the benefits of it. Even
Mm-hmm.
when you don't feel like it, there's benefits coming when you do it. And number three, it causes you to take the action that you maybe sometimes haven't been taking. So if you're doing the thing, you're more apt to track and measure, Aaron.
Absolutely.
If you're not
And
doing the thing, or you're worrying about doing the thing, or you're thinking about doing the thing, and you keep putting the thing off, then you're not tracking and measuring anything, because you're not actually doing the work. Those who do the work, where do I do it? Tell me, can I put it on a Sharpie somewhere? I'll do it. I'm doing the work. Just make it easy for me. And everybody else, you're not doing the work. Go do the work, and you'll have something to track and measure. Stop worrying about not doing the work, so you have something to track and measure. It's easy. It's a piece of cake. I'll analyze. Somebody else will analyze the business. You have the job of doing the work and tracking the work. And mountains can be climbed a little bit
mm,
at a time, a step or two a day. We can get over anything, but we've got to do the work. We've got to, I'm learning my Vanna, work hard and be kind along the way, right? We've got to put the work in.
yeah.
Anyway, Aaron, I think that's it for today. I appreciate your time as always. I love spending time talking real estate with you, my friend. And for
Yes, I appreciate, hey, and I love technology, right? I am in Tennessee when we're recording this. You are
yes,
in California,
yes.
and with, don't let geography get in the way.
Yeah.
Make it happen. Make it
But
happen.
here, we keep saying this, guys. Well, Aaron and I, and I'll wrap with this. I was about to wrap. We've known each other for, I don't know, 25 years. I don't know the numbers.
We have three closings we have three closings for every show. Sorry.
There's three closings for every show. Yes, probably something
Yeah.
like that. Maybe
Yeah,
20.
here. This is our this is our second closing comment. So we've known
Yeah,
each other,
yeah.
Don.
Oh, closing comment, not closing deals. God, I'm a learner. I'm
Sorry.
slow, Aaron, but
Hey,
we're learners around here. We put a training, a week-long training program for brand new agents together, I don't know, 20, 25 years ago. It was clever. It was called Crest, Complete Real Estate Sales Training. It was
wish
phenomenal.
I had bought the domain name.
Yeah, a long time ago, yes. Um, anyway, from that point, we realized, and we plan, and we strategize, and we put things out there for the future, but we only needed to be 1 week ahead of the class. Actually, 1 day ahead at one point ahead of the class. We
Right.
didn't need to have it all done. We didn't have to have it all figured out yet. We didn't need to know it all yet. And what transpired because of just starting, because of just doing it, because we put it on the schedule and we held each other to showing up, just like we did today, because geography and Zoom eliminate any excuses we might have had to not do this. And for all of us, we have the opportunity to not do the work. We can
Yeah.
figure a reason or thousands of reasons not to do the work. But you decided long ago to put it on the schedule. You decided when it sounded like a really good idea and you were calm and you weren't worried and you weren't
Hmm.
scared and you weren't thinking about
Hmm.
it all. Follow the schedule. You'll be a lot better off if you stop negotiating with yourself about things you've already decided on.
I
You
like that.
decided to go for greatness, get out of your way and go for it. Schedule it and follow the schedule. That's it. No more closings. I'm
That's
cutting this
it.
off. Thank you, everybody.
No
Have
more
a great
comments.
week.
God
Comment,
bless you all. We
DM,
look
let us
forward
know how
to
we can help. God bless. Have a great week. Talk to you soon.